In the second episode of our exclusive interview, MVP talks about how the pandemic underscored the need to ensure food security, how agrarian reform and politics are impeding big business from investing in the capital starved farm sector, the need to use technology to improve farm productivity, why Metro Pacific needs to reinvest in logistics, and the need to determine if there is natural gas in the disputed waters of Palawan. Sir, speaking of your recent ventures into food and agribusiness, I know this is something that you've already talked about in a number of interviews, but could you also articulate further the potential that you see in this market? How big of an upside are you seeing in this sector?
Since the time I came back to work here from Hong Kong, increasing importation levels of food items into the country, and that's sad to see, no? So which means that in terms of the needs of our people for food items, a broad range of food items, we now have to import, which means that our ability to grow what we need to feed our people is not there, no? And I think it's time to address the issues surrounding that, no? And I'm glad the president is paying a lot of attention to agri. Agri-aqua naman, di ba? Are go hand in hand, and that's something I feel our group should help, no, in whatever way we can to ameliorate the food situation.
This is something, sir, that's impressed on you further because of the pandemic, because of the logistical issues that arose because of that situation?
Well, it highlighted the importance of food security because there were times, especially in the first year of the pandemic, there was panic buying, right? Especially here in Metro Manila because obviously the supply chains got domestic and imports got clogged up, no? And there were times when food supply trucks from the provinces could not get to Metro Manila because of the regulations that would limit them in order to ameliorate the spread of the virus, no? But we did not have an idea, I think, of where the actual food items come from, no? I think we do, but not in a very systematic, organized way. That's something that should be part of the overall agri plan, no? The supply chain related to food items, the factory inputs that get into the production of food, no? In this country, whether it's fresh food or canned food or cooked food, no? We need to have a digital map of where they are procured, the factory inputs, and where they're eventually sold, no? So that we know. Because in a number of food items, if produced locally, they're seasonal in nature, no? So the storage of it is very important. I know the logistics of it and the cost of that logistics is also very important. And that's a broader framework by which this food situation rests. So.
Sir, speaking of map, you've already snapped up a number of firms. Is there a specific portfolio that you want to have by this year? Are there more acquisitions that you're eyeing to beef up your budding food and agribusiness portfolio?
Yeah, there's a list of things we're looking at, and I don't pretend that we have a very systematic roadmap in terms of the food situation in this country. So in many ways, we improve our own planning as we go along, no? Because we're learning. These are new businesses for us, the dairy side of it, the coconut side of it, and then the agri side of it. The main challenge on the agri side is our ability to get into commercial farming, where you need significant amounts of land, and you have to develop, the science and the management of large commercial farms. So, so the first question, where are those available? And the principle we're adopting is very similar to what Indonesia and Malaysia have adopted, namely to lease the land and not to buy them, because we want to put the money where the production inputs are, no, to produce the food. So yun ang we need for commercial farming, like the staple items. You do need large-scale farming in order to reduce the cost and make it available, hopefully on a year-round basis. No? The challenge is to be able to produce what is produced in Germany, 5 hectares, 40,000 lettuce a day, heads of lettuce.
Ano ba yun, sir? Aquaponics ba, sir? Tama ba? Aquaponics?
Yeah, hydroponics.
Hydroponics.
Aquaponics. Yeah.
How does it taste? Kasi before, when it was still starting, parang iba yung lasa ng ano. Parehas lang ba, sir?
Parehas lang siguro.
Parehas lang. Parang iba yung sa totoong, sabi nila, parang sa wine, yung terra, or whatever. If it's grown.
Iba yung kung grown in the soil.
Yeah, oo.
We're just
One
talking about the
putting it-
water, what serious issues there are.
Ah,
Really,
talaga,
this
sir.
country faces very serious issues with water.
Anong basa niyo, sir, with regards to agriculture, sir, has been one of the sectors na every administration has been trying to nurture, but for a number of reasons, it has been hamstrung from really taking off. And what do you think has been, obviously you're entering this sector because there's a lot of opportunity, but based from your assessment, what has really prevented this sector from really taking off?
I think if we get over the notion about this agrarian reform, I think it might be able to attract business groups to get into agriculture in the way they feel they should get into. How long has it been around? Quite, I think, more than 50 years. And we should just simply drop that notion that it provides the promise that it did many, many years ago. So let's not go back to that, right? Tapos na yun eh. And let's look at a new model under this current age, especially our ability to deploy technology, both on the growing side of the business and on the logistics side of the business. The other bit of it is that, this is the wounds on agriculture are self-inflicted, right? And therefore, by and large, business groups, I would say, I'm generalizing, are not particularly keen on getting into agriculture because it's a very complicated business. Part of it is the politics of it, no? So we hope we could be a bell cow investor, that we have to prove that this makes sense and it makes profits. Because if they see that we're losing a lot of money, then why should business get into it? So we do have a credibility issue as well, now that we can make agriculture a profitable enterprise for businesses. No? Quite similar to what we did many years ago when we first invested in Makati Med. No? That was our first hospital's investment, and I received comments that, number one, why are you investing in the cottage industry? Because one's impression of hospitals, it's what our one and only at the time, and so forth. So that's one. And number two, so very similar. Carmen's Best is not a particularly large enterprise, and it won't move the needle for Metro Pacific anyway. So I received a comment yesterday that, is this a deodorizer for you? I can assure you that that's not the intention. We're serious about this. No? We're investing not for us to look good, right, to anybody. Ayun, then we have to show performance. Oh, of course, to our shareholders, to our board, that this makes sense, and that eventually we can scale up. No? We can scale up to make it a meaningful contributor, not only to Metro Pacific, but to the larger economy. No? Because it's not only does it offer the potential, but it is a need of our people, di ba? We have to feed our people first, rather than importing what we may want to import. Isn't that very basic?
From food, sir, you mentioned logistics. I remember before that this was also one of the new and areas that you're looking for growth. What became of it, sir? And how is it doing?
Well, we did dip our toe in the water, maybe more than a toe, maybe our feet in the water, in logistics many years ago, and I think we failed. This is the Metro Pacific side of logistics, and so that doesn't mean we shouldn't try again, no? So we're looking at a different approach as to how we could build a logistics business. We haven't done so. We probably need to do it our traditional way if we could acquire a company that would become the seed to grow the logistics business further, no? So we look at several candidates, and hopefully within the year we could invest in one that could become the core on which we could build a viable logistics business in this country. No?
What would be different from the first foray, sir?
That was a green field for us, so we did our own thing. No?
Look, this is a listed company, sir. The one you're looking to get for this year.
It's a whole range of listed and unlisted.
You have consultants ba pag ganung mga kalaking ano, sir?
No, not in respect of China affairs. We have legal people, some of whom, international lawyers, some of whom have dealt with the Chinese.
No, sir. That's what yung postgrad ko ngayon, sir. Specializing in China, the language and...
We're learning Chinese.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
Maybe if do you know how to speak and read Chinese?
I'm trying to hit a certain level pa, sir, but not business proficient. Medyo mataas pa, sir, yung...
Kasi kung harap namin mga inchik, nag-i-inchik sila dun eh.
Yeah, it's a different... Sabi niyo nga, sir, kanina sa question, it's a complex animal. I guess you're friends now with these guys now already because you know them quite well, or those who you regularly talk to?
Well, because my overriding objective is to really determine whether there's gas there or not. Kung wala anong pag-aawayan natin? Isda. Di ba? Well, maybe it's important, but at least in respect to PXP Energy, yun ang importante. Is there gas here that's worth quarreling about? Kasi wala naman, then just withdraw. Di ba? Bahala na yung iba dun.
Join us next Sunday for the final installment of this Context.ph series with MVP, where he will talk about life, sports, and his family. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment, share, like, and subscribe.